Welcome back everyone. Today we will be discussing the Jordan 1 Travis Scott Fragment Low, also known as the Jordan 1 Cactus Jack Fragment. Specifically, we will be discussing some release info, how to cop, and of course, some resale predictions as always. The Jordan 1 Travis Scott Fragment Low will release on August 13th. Retail will be $150. Total stock is just shy of 60,000 pairs, which is honestly not bad at all for a Travis Scott release, especially a Travis Scott Jordan 1. Granted, it is not as good as a general release Jordan, but it definitely is not bad at all. Regarding resale, we will cover that towards the end of the video as always, but I'm sure you could guess it's looking amazing. With the release info out of the way, let us jump into how to cop these Jordan 1 Travis Scott Fragment Lows. First, regarding any raffles, I have tweeted out a list on my Twitter, KeithAdam10 and personals for you, so feel free to enter those. Unfortunately, when it comes to these very hyped releases, the vast majority of retailers do resort to conducting raffles for the little stock that they do receive, allowing them to backdoor the majority of the stock. The most notable raffle will likely be in the evening to night on August 12th, and that is the Travis Scott site raffle. The raffle will likely be open for around 30 to 60 minutes. Try to make as many entries as you can on different IP addresses, as well as clearing your cookies on every single entry, or just using different Chrome users rather than clearing cookies. You can use a proxy switcher to use a different IP address or different devices using data rather than all of them being on the same Wi-Fi. Otherwise, you will risk your entries being filtered out. This raffle is easily botted as well, so don't have too high of expectations. Throwback to the actual first come first serve releases on this site, those actually used to be absolutely incredible. If only release managers took a second of time to research how well Shopify new domain drops have been doing recently in comparison to how easily it is to bot a raffle. Aside from the raffles though, let us discuss the potential first come first serve releases. I do believe we'll see some more releases for these rather than the highs. I'd say unlike the recent highs, this release will most likely be closer to the original Travis Scott Jordan 1, where we did see a couple of first come first serve retailer releases. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Hence, we'll be using those prior drops to list out the potential ones for these lows. Starting with 6 a.m. Eastern Time, potentially we have a drop that will ship worldwide. This will be Dover Street Market E-Flash. Now, as for the other Europe sites, which will only have Europe shipping, we'll discuss those later, one of which is actually already confirmed. Dover Street Market London usually drops at 6 a.m. Eastern Time or 12 p.m. CEST. Although that is the normal drop time, they've actually been dropping some drops between 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time or 3 to 4 p.m. CEST recently, so if you don't see a drop at 6, it might be worth looking out for those times as well. Although they did not drop the recent Jordan 1 high, they did drop the first Jordan 1, so it definitely is worth preparing for, just in case if you happen to be awake during this time anyway, especially if you do have a Shopify bot. Dover Street Market E-Flash is Shopify, so expect it to be a near impossible manual cop, but still worth a try if you're awake anyway. It's just going to be botted very heavily. Expect a checkpoint captcha to solve after carding, but they have not been consistently implementing it as of recently. And also, if you are planning to use a monitor, don't use add to cart links, as they will not work here. You must add to cart manually on Dover Street Market. As for Dover Street Market E-Flash New York, it is normally at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's the same exact setup, but the only difference is the domain, the time, and obviously they will only be shipping to the US, unlike the other domain. Regardless, this release is not confirmed though, and it's certainly not going to be your best shot. Now, normally I would say at 8 a.m. Eastern Time we should be seeing Undefeated drop. However, these very hype drops on Undefeated tend to be usually in the afternoon time. The most common time for things like Travis collabs, for example, are usually at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and occasionally at 12:15, 12:30, or 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So be on the lookout for those times as well. The first Jordan 1 Travis Scott Undefeated drop was at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on the dot, just for reference. That would be the ideal time to camp monitors for the potential drop. Keyword potential because they did not drop the recent pair, but then again, that recent Jordan 1 high didn't drop at many retailers at all. I'd still suggest preparing for this potential drop just to be safe. Before this time, make sure you are signed into an Undefeated account, as it is required on this site to check out. Be ready to solve a checkpoint captcha as well. If you don't have access to a Shopify monitor, you could try refreshing the search page for AJ1 Low, but your chances of copying will be very slim since it is Shopify. Regardless, there shouldn't be anything else dropping at this time, so it's worth a try, can't hurt you. Then at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we may potentially see Kith drop these, as they usually do for Travis Scott releases, although not for the recent Jordan 1 highs as we've seen with other retailers. Regardless, all you guys need to know is that if they do end up dropping, they will likely enable a checkpoint, specifically an H CAPTCHA, and they do not require accounts, but it is suggested to use an account regardless, just so some info is already saved. If you have access to a group, be sure to take advantage of an early link, as that will certainly give you an advantage. Also at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, but less urgent considering it is a draw, Nike sneakers will be dropping for the US. Now, what's the most efficient way to cop off of Nike sneakers manually? I made a full in-depth video regarding this and everything inside out that you guys need to know. Feel free to check it out here. However, for now, I'll just give you guys a brief rundown of what's important for this drop. This drop is going to be a Dan drop. As I mentioned before, it's going to be a draw release. Dan drops or draws essentially give you 10 minutes to enter in as many accounts as possible into the raffle. Evidently, the more accounts you can enter within that finite period, the better your chances will be. If you need to make more accounts, remember that Nike does require SMS verification. You cannot use the same phone number twice, so you will have to ask a friend of yours to use their phone number and ask them for the verification code. However, if you'd rather not bother your friends or you just want a significant amount of pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts, feel free to check out my site TARS. The link is in the description below for that. That's about it for the US drops. Unfortunately, like I said, there really isn't going to be many since most retailers are just doing raffles and backdooring their pairs. But the first one I did want to discuss was Foot District. This one is actually loaded already, and it is a confirmed drop. As for the exact time, it will most likely be somewhere around 9 a.m. CEST. However, this drop will be exclusive to verified users only. In order to be verified, you need to be a consistent buyer of their products. Then they will give you the verification during periods when they are adding more verified accounts. I don't suggest going out of your way to get this just for the Travis Scott, but if you are in Europe, it is certainly very useful to have for drops in general, and it's not easy to get, unfortunately. Now, the second one I wanted to mention is Soulbox. Soulbox almost always drops really hyped products first come first serve, even when they do a raffle, and this includes Travis Scott drops, even the prior Jordan 6 drop, but not the recent Jordan 1 high drop as we've been discussing. Make sure to make your account in advance for Soulbox and add your address and information to it. I'd highly suggest being active on the website at least 30 minutes before the drop, which is usually at 9 a.m. CEST or 3 a.m. Eastern Time. The reason being, the more active you are, the less likely you are to get into that CAPTCHA loop from the Perimeter X bot protection. It usually stays in stock for a decent bit. It's not gone instantly. The hard part is honestly just getting past the CAPTCHA loops and being able to successfully add to cart without errors. So give it your best shot if they do end up dropping, but don't be discouraged if you don't cop, because it's certainly not going to be easy. More importantly for Europe, your best shot will definitely be, without a doubt, Nike sneakers at 9 a.m. CEST via a draw. However, this will be less urgent since, again, it is a Dan release draw. This should provide you with 10 minutes to enter in as many of your accounts as possible into the draw, allowing you sufficient time to try for the other potential first come first serve drops at 9 a.m. CEST as well. Regardless, sneakers will definitely be your best chance. Offspring may potentially shock drop some raffle leftovers, but it's very unlikely given the prior drops for Travis. I'd still suggest enabling Instagram notifications for them just in case they do, then you'll get the notification. That's essentially it for the how to cop portion of this video. I really wish I did have more for you guys, but unfortunately, this is just how it is for these very, very limited drops. So now regarding resale, this one, just like the Travis Scott Jordan 1 high, should be a no-brainer for you guys. The demand is obviously insane for these, as you guys have seen on the prior Travis Scott Jordan 1 lows or even the Jordan 1 highs. Not to mention, this being a Fragment collab as well certainly only helps. Although these are not the most limited Travis Scott, they are certainly not a general release either. So in conclusion, these will be extremely profitable with an incredible margin. I'll try to make a seller hold video closer to the drop as well if I do have time. Anyway, that'll conclude it for today. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, or perhaps if you learned a thing or two. Subscribe subscribe, and enable post notifications just to stay 100% updated on all hyped releases. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description below for reliable, fast, residential proxies and pre-verified Nike sneakers or Adidas accounts. Also, feel free to follow Endurance's Twitter for updates on restocks or key giveaways, and the same goes for Gargantua if you want to keep up with the progress or free beta key drops. Last but not least, make sure to follow Keith Adam 10 and Personals for You so you guys stay updated on all urgent info like I was discussing today. With that though, I will see you guys later. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Get your foot off my foot. Mom always told me not to play when another man's foot is in your way. Get your foot off my foot.